Welcome. I'm Paula Gardner, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this practice that I'm calling Helping to Stand Up Straight and Tall in honor of my friend Cori, who requested such a practice and poses. Because the reality for most of us is we don't have time set aside for us to do an entire yoga practice, and we feel either discouraged or ashamed or something, disgruntled, that we don't have the time, and we don't then appreciate that we can take the poses and practice them individually throughout the day, or one or two here and another two or three there. And it counts. It counts because you count. So I'm sharing this practice with you and totally encouraging you to take a pose and do it in the morning, to take another pose to do it in the afternoon, to give yourself 5 minutes to do the restorative poses somewhere in your day. Because if you want to up level, if you will, then you need to lie down. You need to rest to success. But this is a practice about standing up straight and tall. Truth is, every practice leads to standing up straighter and taller. Because when we relax the muscles, whether they're the muscles in our arm or our leg or along our spine, it helps us to stand up straighter and taller. When we open up, when we relax the front of the body, it helps us stand up straighter and taller. It all counts because you count. And I invite you to consider using the word softening instead of stretching. Because in my experience, both in my own body and with my clients and students, using the word stretch feels like a command. It feels like work. And we have enough work in our life. The reality, too, is that tension and tightness in the mind, body, spirit spread regardless. They just, of their own accord, will move from this shoulder down to this hip, and from this hip over to this knee, or from this ankle up to this shoulder. But softness seems to need to be invited and welcomed. And so I invite you, as you're doing the poses, whether you do them one at a time or all together, I invite you to invite softness, to start with the premise that what we're doing is a way to soften the mind, body, spirit. And in the Ayurveda tradition, mind, body, spirit are one, is one. What you do for the mind, you do for the body and the spirit. What you do for the body, you do for the mind and the spirit. What you do for your spirit, you do for your mind and your body. So it's all one, we're all one, and an important idea to remind yourself is you're worth the work and you're worth the time it takes. Whatever amount of time it is that you're able to offer yourself at any given moment of any given day. So what we need for today's practice, and if you're doing it pose by pose, you'll just take that information with you. But what we need is a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use shoe boxes. You just need them to be the same height and the same depth. Yes, the same height and the same depth. So that when you're using them together, you're even and you're balanced and you're in harmony. Books work, but they can be a little unwieldy when they're in stacks because one falls, then the others fall with it. But if you're only using one or two, that can also work. You'll need a strap of some kind. It could be a yoga strap. It could be a tie, a necktie. It could be a belt. It could be a scarf, a long scarf. It could be a strap from or a sash from a robe. Be as creative as you can be and use the things that are in your home to help support your practice. A couple of pillows, a couple of cushions like this one from a sofa, a couple of blankets or beach towels, if that's what you have, the really large beach towels that when we roll them up can be pretty thick. I'm looking at this blanket, which is a yoga blanket, but you don't have to have a yoga blanket. I'm going to put that to the side, and it'll be there when we're ready. Before we begin our poses, I would like to sit for a moment in whatever nature is comfortable for you, and invite you to close your eyes for a moment or two and to ask yourself, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? You don't have to have words to describe how you're feeling or what you're feeling or where you're feeling it. In fact, I encourage you to purely feel. What am I feeling and where am I feeling it? Becoming aware of your mind, body, spirit. What am I feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? And where in the body am I experiencing it? And you can, if you'd like, take this information, or you can simply ask yourself the question, what do I want to receive from this pose or these poses or this practice today? What do I want to receive? And it can be anything. Let all the answers come. And now choose the one that seems to best fit for you right here, right now. There's great power in one. Place that one behind your heart, and if you'd like, you can place your hands on top of your heart. Place that one behind your heart and let it radiate to the crown of your head, the tips of your fingers, the soles of your feet, so that your whole self is alive with this one idea, this one thought, this one desire as your intention for this pose or this practice. And I encourage you, even if you're just doing one pose, to pause to ask yourself, what do I want to receive from this pose? Intention gives direction to our awareness. And awareness is the seat of all change, of all growth. One of the reasons that Cori asked for a practice to help stand up straight and tall is that as we age, we tend to get smaller. And one of the reasons we get smaller is the muscles tighten by virtue of habitual movement. And what we want to do is soften. And if we soften this muscle, this one's going to respond. It's a beautiful layering and opening effect. So my teacher, Judith Lassiter, always reminds us that we're working with and against gravity. Gravity always has the biggest impact on our poses. So let's begin today, and you can do this anytime in your day. It doesn't have to be part of a practice. Let's begin by inviting gravity to help us soften and relax. So I forgot to mention the chair. but you'll want a chair, and it can be this kind of chair. It can be a kitchen chair. It can be a dining room chair. It can be a chair from your living room. It can also be a stool of some kind, because what we're going to do is put our legs up there, have either a pillow or a blanket underneath our head. Our knees will not be over our hips, so our legs will be at an angle. I don't like the way that feels, so let's change that. You're worth the work, remember. You can relax with your hands on your belly. In fact, you can put a pillow on your belly if you'd like, or you can have your hands at your sides. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and allow yourself to be here for the next little while. When you're doing this through your day or in your day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever you have to give yourself. And I hope that this will help you learn to schedule time for yourself in your day. But whatever you have, let it be good. And allow gravity right here, right now, to soften the muscles of your abdomen. Feel how when that softens, the muscles of your lower back respond also by letting go of tension and tightness. And then notice where else in your body you're feeling the spread of softness. Invite it in. Allow yourself to receive it. And when you're practicing on your own, you can, as I said, stay here as long as you like. If you're using it at the beginning of your practice, 3, 4, 5 minutes is a good amount of time to begin inviting the softness in. And now we'll move to the next by bringing our feet one at a time to the seat of the chair or the surface of the stool if that's what you're using. And now bring your feet to the mat and have your block nearby. And we'll begin by putting the block this way between the knees, bringing the feet together, having our hands at our side. We're going to very slowly and gently rock 10 times from side to side, but we're only going as far to the left as it takes before the right buttock begins to lift up. And then we'll come back to the center and go to the right side just enough, and it's not very far, for the left buttock to begin lifting up off of the mat, and then come back to the center. And we'll do this very slowly, very mindfully, with great awareness, with deep attention and presence, because we're cultivating curiosity about our body, about how it works, about how it feels as we do things. This and the next two help center the pelvis, help bring it back into its alignment so that everything we do from here is from this bowl from which the spine lifts up, and which, when we put it at the center of our practice, also allows us to access, to fortify, to nourish the lower chakras. The pelvis is the seat of the first two chakras, and it's just out of reach of the third chakra. All of them are the seat of and the source of our safety, our creativity, our sense of worth, our sense of self-empowerment. Well, we've done more than 10, I think, so let's come back to the center. Keep your feet together. We're going to change the direction of the block and put it this way the widest way between our knees, and we'll do the same thing. This time we'll count. Slowly to the left, only until the right buttock lifts up. Come back to the center, slowly to the right, only until the left buttock begins to lift. And now we'll move again, slowly, with great attention, from side to side, 10 times. Being curious, exercising curiosity, not judging, not criticizing, remembering that we're not stretching, we're softening. And when you finish the 10th, come back to the center, take the block out from underneath, or from between your legs, and get your strap, and bring your strap behind your thighs, right below your knees, the backs of your knees. And hold, you can twist it once, hold the strap so that you're kind of pulling it toward you, and bring your feet together. And again, we're going to move slowly. You're bursting out of the strap as best you can. This can be an upper body workout as well. And letting your knees float over to the left just until the right buttock lifts. You keep pulling the strap, keep pushing your legs into the strap, rolling gently and softly and slowly from side to side, 10 times in each direction. Taking your time, reminding yourself that you have all the time in the world. That has been my great brain fooler for the last several years. Whenever I start to feel totally overwhelmed because I have so much to do and so little time in which to do it, I pause and I say, I have all the time in the world. It changes the way my brain is experiencing things. It seems to expand time, and I end up getting more done than I had even intended to or was worrying about, all because I said I have all the time in the world. When you finish that 10th one, take the strap out from around your legs, separate your feet a little bit, and just notice whatever there is to notice. I'm taking the blanket out from underneath my head for this next several movements. So separate your feet so they're as wide as, or maybe a little bit wider than your hips. Point your big toes toward each other. When you inhale, tilt the top of your pubic bone, so the belly button side, up toward the sky. And when you do that, your lower back begins to arch, your buttocks move toward the ground, and you create this beautiful curved spine. It's actually there, but we don't always pay attention to it. And each of us is unique. When you exhale, bring your belly button in toward your spine, down toward the ground, and you'll feel your lower back move into the earth, into the ground, and you'll feel the lower part of your buttocks kind of come up a little bit. They won't come off the mat, but they're moving a little. Inhale, the top of your pubic bone, the belly button side goes up toward the sky. Exhaling, belly button in and down toward the ground. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling, belly button side up. Exhaling, belly button in Now, when we do this time, belly button up, press your feet down, lift your butt and your back as high as you can without straining or pushing. When you exhale, bring your belly button in, push your feet down, and lower your back to the mat. It'll be very rhythmic, almost like a dance. Inhale, the top of your pubic bone, your belly button goes up toward the sky. Press your feet down, lift your back. Exhale, belly button in and down. Press your feet down, lower your back. Inhale, belly button up. Press your feet down, lift your butt and your back. Exhale, belly button in. Press your feet down, lower your back. Let's do that one more time. Actually, let's do it 2 more times. That was 1. Just feel the ease, the increasing ease as you move. This time when you come down, pause and feel. Feel more rather than less. Not feel more as in I'm going to push and push and push. Instead, feel more rather than think about it more. And just let yourself breathe and be right here. Turn to your left side and rest your head on your left arm. Have your knees bent, your left knee slightly forward, your right knee right in line with your hip. If it's accessible to you to reach behind you and hold on to your ankle, go ahead and do that. If you have to be here in order to reach it and you get all crunched up, put a strap around your ankle and just hold it that way. Remember, we're bringing ease and softness in. Now there is in the body on each side of the spine, very deep in the body, this muscle called the psoas, P-S-O-A-S. And when it's tight, which it gets tight just by virtue of living, it affects everything, including our breathing. So it behooves us to every day do something to soften this muscle group. It, by the way, is a really important muscle group. It holds the legs to the torso. It also functions in our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So as you're here, visualize your breath and maybe even feel your breath moving up and down that muscle from just below your rib cage to just above your kneecap, inviting and welcoming and receiving softness. Bring your belly button in toward your spine, and you'll notice an increase in the sensation, maybe not a ton, but an increase in the sensation in the front of your right thigh. Stay here for a few breaths. On your next exhale, release the strap from your foot or let go of your leg and just come onto your back and notice whatever there is to notice in your body. Any differences from side to side, any releases that you might be experiencing, any tensions that might have come up. Just noticing. And trusting your body, trusting yourself first. Not exclusively, but first. So now turn onto your right side. I'm going to shift and come onto my right side. You don't have to do that. You just have to turn around. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So rest your head on your right arm. Bend your knees so that your right knee is slightly forward. Oops. And bend your left knee so that it's in line with your hip. Hold on to your ankle with your hand or with the strap. Visualize your breath moving up and down the left side of your body, from just below your rib cage to just above your kneecap. Bring your belly button in toward your spine. Notice the sensation increase in your left leg, your left thigh. And watch your breath some more. Invite and welcome and receive softness. And let it spread just like tension and tightness spread. On your next exhale, release your foot and come onto your belly. I'm going to move this chair so that I don't hit it as we're practicing. So just pause here, resting your forehead on your forearms, and notice what's happening in your body. Feel what's happening in your body. Take a pause, take a rest. Now let's play in the same way that we did moving the pubic bone forward and back, but we're in a different position. So gravity is going to have a different impact on us. Tilt the top of your pubic bone forward and feel your back. Tilt the top of your pubic bone in and feel your back. And you may even notice, if you're watching, how when I tilt the top of my pubic bone forward, my butt lifts slightly. And when I tilt the top of my pubic bone into the body, like toward the spine, this starts to round. The lower back rounds and the buttocks go down a little bit. Some people call that tucking your tailbone. There's a time and a place for it. This is one of those places where we're going to tilt the top of the pubic bone forward and down. And now come to your forearms with your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Tilt the top of your pubic bone slightly forward so you can feel the beautiful arch in your lower back. And we'll stay here for a couple of breaths. If this is easy and comfortable for you, then it makes sense to try to bring your hands underneath your shoulders, tilt the top of your pubic bone forward, and to come a little higher with your belly still touching the mat. If this is too high, come down a little bit. If this is still too high, let this be a beautiful place for you to be. We spend a lot of time leaning over people, over desks, over our art, over our musical instruments. And so we really need to give some time to letting the front of the body have some space. And this is a great way to do that. So just stay here for one more breath, in and out. And now we'll come to all fours. So it's always good, if you need it, to put padding underneath your knees. And when you do that, I invite you now to bring your hands so they're slightly forward of your shoulders and to spread your fingers really wide. The first thing we want to do is inhale and let the belly button side of our pubic bone come toward the mat. And then we move, flowing slightly forward, lifting our gaze and our chin if we want. When we exhale, the very first thing we do before we go anywhere else is we bring the belly button in, belly button in, belly button in. So our lower back starts to round, and then we sit, or we move, we flow slightly back. We don't go far. And here we can let our head hang. When we inhale again, before we go anywhere, the top of the pubic bone, the belly button side, comes forward and down. And we begin to move very slowly and gently forward, lifting the chin and the gaze. Exhaling, belly button in, in. And then we begin to push back not far, letting the head hang. Let's do this several times so that you begin to feel the rhythm of your spine as you move in the way that honors the spine and honors the rhythm of the spine. Our bodies are so much wiser than we are, and it so helps to let go of the need to control so that we begin to listen to and learn from what is the body's natural movement. In case I didn't say this before, this is something I do every night before I go to bed. First of all, rocking helps the parasympathetic and the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems, because we need them both. We need to be in harmony, and rocking helps us do that. It's very soothing, it's very calming, and this particular movement with bringing the pubic bone forward first and then back first relieves so much tension and tightness in the lower back. And that spreads to wherever you need it to spread. This time around, come back. If it's accessible to you, come all the way back to child's pose. If this bothers your knees at all, or if you're taking care of your knees, put a cushion or 2 or 10 behind you and bring the floor up to your forehead. There is nothing sacred about touching your head to the ground. There is everything sacred about honoring your body. So if you need more than one cushion, or you need to be up here, then you can also put your head on the chair. But do support yourself in some way, shape, or form behind you if that's what you need. And let your back round. So bring your belly button in. Let your spine find its way to child's pose. And it'll look different for everybody. We'll pause here for another couple of breaths. And now, if downward dog is accessible to you, I invite you to go there by stretching your arms as far as you can, spreading your fingers as wide as you can, tucking your toes, and lengthening and straightening your legs. Step your feet apart from each other, point your big toes toward each other, take up space. If your ribs are sagging down toward the ground, I invite you to bring your belly button in, so that it draws the ribs in. Your back will be straighter. You'll be in a more neutral position. You'll be in a safer position. Let your shoulder blades move toward each other however they want. Press your thumb, your pointer, your pinky fingers down and forward. And if this doesn't work for you, if that doesn't work for you, come to a standing position. Put your hands on a shelf, on a chair, on a counter. Step your feet far apart from each other. Point your big toes in toward each other. Stick your butt back. This is a beautiful alternative to downward dog, and it's more easily accessible through your day. So you can stop what you're doing anytime and do this. If your ribs seem to be sagging down, bring your belly button in, belly button in, belly button in, so the ribs come in and your back will straighten. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, soften your gaze, Feel whatever you're feeling. Now, if you are on the floor doing downward dog, stay there. And if you're up doing half dog with me, come down to all fours again. This time, step your left foot forward. I'm going to face you for a moment so you can see something. When I stepped that foot forward, did you notice my hip came up? What I would like to do is have my pelvis level. So I very gently pull that buttock down, and now I'm kneeling level. There are lots of ways to do lunges. One of them is this way. What I'm inviting you to do today is meant to soften the psoas. So you're at 90 degrees. You're on your right knee. Bring the belly button in. And when you do that, you'll feel greater sensation in the front of your right thigh. Inhale your right hand up to the sky. Breathe here if you'd like. You can also shift just a little bit over to your left. It's not necessary. You still have the sensation here with your fingertips straight up. Breathe here a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, tilt the top of your pubic bone forward and turn gently to your left side. When we twist, the spine aligns itself and we bring fresh blood and oxygen into the internal organs. We feel the breath working its way into our body, telling us you're worth the work. Inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat. We'll switch sides. So we're at 90 degrees, hips, knee, ankle. Bring your right thumb into the crease of your right leg. Gently pull that down so that you level out your pelvis. Inhale, reach your left hand up. Bring the belly button in. Feel what you feel. Or don't. Feel. When you next exhale, first let the belly button come slightly forward, then turn gently to your right side. Getting the message every time you do this that you're worth the work. Feeling your breath. Inhale, come back to the center, and exhale, bring your hands to the mat. Just step your left foot forward and come to a standing position. When I first started studying yoga 25 years ago, I learned that Tadasana was done with my feet together, which doesn't really feel very good in my lower back. So what we're looking for, what we're feeling for is where do our feet need to be in order for my sacrum to feel the most comfortable? So we'll start with our feet together, and I invite you to feel this whole area back here. Does it feel scrunched? Does it feel weird? Does it feel uneven? What does it feel like for you to have your feet together? And now step your feet slightly apart and feel how that feels. How does this feel on your sacrum, that triangle, the sacred bone? And now let's step our feet out even wider. And how does this feel on your lower back, your sacrum? So find the place where your sacrum feels most honored, most comfortable, most at ease. And that can change from day to day. So we're always listening to the body. And now I invite you to look at your feet and notice that perhaps, because so many of us do, you're standing like a duck. I have a picture of myself when I was, I think, 22 years old, and my feet are literally like this. I have these really cool shoes on, espadrilles, really cool shoes on, but I'm standing like a duck. We stand and walk like ducks for reasons, and that usually involves tightness in through here. So it may feel very awkward and uncomfortable for you to line up the outer edges of your feet and your big toes at the same time. In fact, you may feel a little pigeon-toed because you're used to being out here. You're probably in the right place if that's how you're feeling. So when we line up the bones, the muscles don't have to work so hard. So we're eliminating already one layer of tension by honoring the structure of our body. And we never want to go to pain. So if I invite you or anyone invites you to do something and it pains you like a sharp knife or something, please don't do that. And let us know so that we can give you some alternatives. Always listen to your body first, not exclusively, but first. It's worth repeating. So let's pause here. Tilt the top of your pubic bone ever so slightly forward, and you'll feel this opening in the whole front of your body. It's like everything is all of a sudden free. This is what it looks like from the side. So very often we're told in yoga to tuck our tailbone. Did you see that? Did you see that? I went from here where I can breathe freely and openly, and I tucked my tailbone, and all of a sudden my knees came forward, my thighs came forward, my shoulders rounded, my chest kind of collapsed. So when we're standing, what we want is to let the top of the pubic bone tilt forward so that we have that beautiful expression of arch in our lower back. And so that the whole front of our body can open, including our lungs. And when we're here, this allows us to breathe more deeply, which expands the lungs in the back, since 60% of our lungs, our capacity is in the back of the body. But we're moving in harmony with the way that the body naturally moves. So I invite you to pause here, feeling your body. Feeling your breath. Inviting softness in all forms. Now let's move into the Virabhadrasana series, the warrior series. Vira is the root word that means courage and strength. So every time we undertake to do something, whether it's yoga or off the mat, anywhere, we are exercising our courage so that we can cultivate our strength, whatever type of strength it is that we need. So let's begin standing in Tadasana. Remember the Tadasana that works for your sacrum. And now I invite you to step your left foot straight back. Now I know that most of us have been taught to line up either heel to heel or heel to arch, depending on the pose that we're doing. And I'm inviting you today to try something that initially horrified me. But it horrified me not because of how it felt, but because of tradition. And the reality is that if tradition doesn't serve this body, then it's not something that I should be, want to be, need to be repeating. So just for today, I invite you to try separating your feet so that there's distance and there's not a lineup of heel to arch or heel to heel. Walk your right foot out a little bit to the right. Point your right toes ever so slightly out. Let your back foot be pointing more forward at this point. Inhale your hands up over your head. Exhale, bend your front knee, press your back heel down. Check your front knee. Make sure it only goes as far as your ankle and is pointing toward your toes. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Feel the strength in your legs. Feel the courage that sweeps through, brushes over your whole body. And on your next exhale, turn your left foot out, turn your upper body to your left, bring your arms to a T so your hands are just below shoulder height. And if you want to bend your knee more, just step your back foot back more. Make sure your knee is in line with your ankle and is pointing toward your toes. You'll notice that it's the upper body from the ribs up that's turning to the left. And my pelvis is moving a little bit to the right. Feel how that feels for you. Take your gaze over the middle finger of your front hand, and without moving your feet, hug your heels toward each other. And feel the strength in your legs. Let the top of your pubic bone tilt slightly forward and feel the freedom in your lower back, which translates then to being able to lift up higher. Inhale, bring your left hand to your left leg, your right hand up into the sky. You can take your gaze up or straight ahead, depends on you. Keeping your right knee bending. Breathe in. When you exhale, straighten your right leg. Reach either over your right leg or bring your right hand into the crease of your right leg and very gently push that right buttock back. Bring your right rib slightly forward. We're looking to keep this long. Very often when we do Trikonasana, we end up here because we want to touch the ground. There is nothing sacred about touching the ground. There is everything sacred about making space for your sacred self. So you can stay here, reach your left arm out. If it feels like the right thing to do, bring this part right here, your lowest rib, up a little bit toward the sky, and you can release your right arm either here, if you can keep this length, or higher, depending on you. Honor you. And feel your breath. On your next exhale, bend your front knee, rest your right elbow on your right thigh, bring your left hand over your head. Relax your shoulders. Let the top of your pubic bone come slightly forward, checking in always. Are we where our body needs us to be? And the next inhale, reaching the left hand up, letting it pull you up, keeping that right knee bent. This time when we come to Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2, let your palms face up to remind you to receive all the beauty, all the abundance that's here for you. Inhale, reach your hands up, move your left foot and leg as you need to in order to come to Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Top of your pubic bone tilt slightly forward. Exhale, your hands down, step your left foot forward, come back to the Tadasana that honors your sacrum. Look at your feet, line up the outer edges so they are parallel to each other. Feel the ease that that brings to your muscles, even if it feels uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. Let yourself breathe and be. Eyes closed or gaze soft. I'm going to turn, but you don't have to. So this time, I forgot where we were. Step your step your right foot straight back. Again, just for today, if you would experiment with me, I would appreciate it. More importantly, your body will appreciate it. Turn your left toes slightly out. The right foot is more forward. Bend your knee. Bring your left knee, bring your hands over your head. Check your knee. Make sure that it's only as far as your ankle or slightly behind and that it's pointing towards your toes. Feel your breath. Feel your strength. Feel the top of your pubic bone tilting slightly forward and feel how that frees your back. On your next exhale, turn your right toes out. You can walk your foot back more as you'd like. Check your front knee. Bring your arms to a T, hands just below shoulder height. Just your upper body is turning to the right. Your lower body is turning a little bit to the left. Just feel what's happening for you. Take your gaze over the middle finger of your front hand. Without moving your feet, hug your heels toward each other to feel the strength of your legs supporting you, doing whatever it is that you need to do, want to do, choose to do for yourself. Top of your pubic bone slightly forward. Feel your courage. Feel your strength. On your next inhale, bring your right hand to your right leg, your left hand up into the sky. Feel the length of the left side, and when you exhale, bring your left elbow to your left thigh, your right hand over your head, your left ribs slightly forward. Savor the length of the right side of your body. On your next inhale, let your right hand pull you up. Let yourself come back to Virabhadrasana 2, only this time with your palms facing up. Gazing over the middle palm, at the middle finger over your palm of your left hand. Hug your heels toward each other. Feel all the gifts that are here for you. And then inhale your hands over your head. Shift your back foot, so now it's more forward. For Virabhadrasana 1. And now release your hands down, step your back foot forward, come back to your mountain, the mountain that honors your sacrum. Let the top of your pubic bone tilt forward. Keep in mind that for many of us, this movement of tilting the top of the pubic bone forward is challenging years, lifetimes of doing the opposite. And so there's nothing wrong with you if it feels weird or awkward or you can't figure it out. Remember that you have the whole rest of your life to keep practicing this one little thing, because this one little thing will help gravity from pressing down so hard on your head, because in this position, you are more naturally armed and strong to work with gravity. It's so beautiful. You're so beautiful. So breathe in and out. And now I invite you to come back down to the mat. It's really important that we end a practice of any length with a restorative pose, with Shavasana. This is the opportunity that we have, the samana moment in Ayurveda, where everything starts to harmonize, where we integrate what we've been asking of our body, what we've been trying to learn, what we've been actively pursuing, what we've been working on. It's the opportunity to integrate it. And what the pose that we'll do, Judith Lassiter used to call river, I think, or flowing stream, and you feel like the stream whose shape you create for yourself. And you don't have to do that at the end of every practice, and you don't have to do it along with any other poses. You can carve out some time for yourself in the middle of your day to lie down and rest to success. 5 minutes, if that's what you have. 35 minutes, if that's what you have, and you build toward that. But here's what happens when we do longer restorative poses. Our mind, body, spirit learns more easily to recognize and to shift into softness. And what that means for the rest of our life is that we can draw softness from a number of different sources and resources in our own body, in our own mind, in our own activity, because we know better what it feels like. So let's do river. I will help set you up. And then please know and feel free to stay as long as you're able. I will close our class the way I always do. I will close our time together with my little ritual. And I encourage you to create your own rituals so that at the end of your pose, at the end of your practice, at the end of your restoration, you give yourself a moment. Athena's singing to us, I think. You give yourself a moment to thank yourself. Because remember, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that will be enough. So we'll begin by organizing what's going to go under our knees. You can use a cushion. You can use pillows. You can use a yoga bolster if you have one, or you can use blankets. I like there to be about this much height under my knees. Please choose what works better for you. And so I lay the blankets, so they make a rectangle, often called Tadasana, and I roll those together so that they make a rather thick bolster-like presence. That's where my knees will go. And you can use either a pillow or another blanket under your head. Adjust yourself as you need to. And keep in mind that we're not settling. Hello, baby. We're not settling. Like in the story, The Princess and the Pea, if you have the slightest, itziest, bitsiest annoyance, Athena, come here. If you have the slightest, itziest, bitsiest annoyance at the beginning, it will simply grow in magnitude and get in the way of your being able to receive any softness at all, because you're going to be so annoyed and irritated by that little thing. So from the beginning, let yourself look for and work toward creating the most supportive pose you can. So using pillows, blankets, anything at all to support you. For example, I'm feeling my lower back scrunch. So I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to take usually both hands, but today just one. And I'm going to lift myself up, pull the flesh of my buttocks toward my heels, and now lower myself back down. And now my lower back is against the mat and there's no more scrunching. And then I'll extend my legs again over those 2 blankets under my knees. Find a place that's comfortable for your hands, either out to the side or on your belly. If they're out to the side, you might try resting on the pinky side of your hands. Make sure that whatever you have under your head allows your forehead to be higher than your chin, because being here is very disruptive to your rest. It activates the mind, and we're working to bring softness everywhere, even to the mind. Although one of the ways to bring softness to the mind is just to let the mind go, notice where it goes, and let it be okay that it goes. So find where it's comfortable for you. I like stillness and the quiet of nothing. If you find that music helps you relax, please feel free to put soft music on. If you have a recording of, or you have certainly access to YouTube where you can get a recording of Himalayan bowls, that's also conducive to helping you let go and release and relax for as much or as little time as you have. And whatever time you're able, let that be a gift, and let it be a gift without strings attached. Not, if only I could do 20 minutes. Not shame on me for not doing 20 minutes. Allow yourself to celebrate whatever time you have, and you may find that the more often you do that, giving yourself 5 minutes, 7 minutes, that it begins of its own accord to increase to 10, to 12, maybe even to 20. Feel yourself as you begin to release into the mat. Feel where you're bracing, like where are you holding yourself away from the mat. And as soon as you bring your awareness there, the body parts will respond by softening. Bring your attention to the tip of your tongue and gradually bring your awareness and your attention along your tongue toward the back until you're at the root of your tongue. And this is a suggestion. It's what I have found to be helpful. If it creates more stress for you, ignore it. When I focus on the root of my tongue, I notice that my jaw softens, and then of course my cheeks soften, and then my whole head and neck soften, and when my face softens, the whole rest of me seems to be more responsive. So just try it. See how you feel. Feel free to stay as long as you like, as long as you can. When you're ready to come up, first become aware of your breathing. Then turn your knees so they face the sky. Then first one foot to whatever was under your knees, then the other foot to whatever was under your knees. And now turn to your favorite side and just rest right there for as long as you can, for as long as you like. And when you're ready to come up, use your hands to push you up sideways to a seated position. Come to whatever position or sitting position is comfortable for you. And let yourself simply breathe and be for several minutes. I'm closing the way that I always close my classes and my retreats. So I invite you to bring your hands together, rub them rigorously to generate some heat. Gently cup your hands over your eyes and receive the warmth from your hands in your eyes and their sockets, your cheekbones, your jawbone, all the way down to your heart. And place a smile behind your eyes, behind your lips, behind your heart, and receive the softness that moves into your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Let's bring our palms together in front of our heart so that we might honor ourselves and each other with the word that's used throughout the Himalayas to say hello and goodbye, and which means the light that is me honors the light that is you. Namaste. 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 I would so love to hear from you as you do these poses here and there, as you do the practice in its entirety, if that's what you choose to do. The address where you can write to me is in the comments below here. Feel free to share, to invite other friends to do this practice with you. And always give yourself a moment to thank yourself. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you again. Standing tall and straight, always, or as best we can. Sending you many blessings.